So here we have the Wireworks whiskey. It's made at White Peaks Distillery in Derbyshire. One of a generation of distilleries that have popped up in recent years. Obviously, we're often used to whiskey being from Scotland primarily, and as a Scotsman, I know there's a great deal of pride, but we've seen some fantastic whiskey coming from various other parts of the world. So we're excited to get into this and see what it's about. Bottled in 2022, it's a lightly peated expression. The oak cask influence is STR and bourbon. So for those of you who might not know what STR is, it stands for stripped, toasted, and recharred. So that's the
Essentially,
process.
it's a refill, but it's a rejuvenated refill cask. Yeah.
Excellent.
I've tasted this before. This is the first release from the Peaks Distillery, and I must say I was very impressed by it. Indeed. The whole release sold out in about 2 days.
Exactly.
And then began to appear on the secondary market. But I must say I was very impressed when I tasted it.
So yeah, what was your first experience of White Peak?
Well, I do a lot of tastings for the Whiskey Shop group, and so it's not an advertisement, by the way, but and then last quarter they sent me this first bottle. And I must say, as I say, I was very impressed by it. It's a young whiskey. The bottle was designed by Stranger and Stranger in London, legendary design agent both for bottles and for labels. All the Compass Box labels are done by Stranger and Stranger. And it's a gorgeous, it's an unusual bottle. It swings round at the top. It's a most attractive packaging. In terms of anticipation of flavour, I understand the Peak District to be very chalky, or the water to be hard. So whether that'll influence the flavour of the whiskey, I don't know. What's the bottling strength? It's about 50%, I think, isn't it?
I believe it is 50.3, so you're almost bang on the money.
Yeah. Single English malt, first release. Good colour. The casks used will probably be American oak, and I'm surprised that it's so dark at this young age. But the nose, there is a prickle there, but it's overall quite mellow. It is young on the nose, but there is depth to it. Now, let's think. I like to think of top notes, mid notes, and base notes. So, what top notes are we getting, Lewis?
So I get from this a slight pine resin note as the kind of the crisp cleanness to it.
It is crisp and clean. Funny enough, I'd put that into the base note. My top note is probably more on the fruity side of things. Fresh apples, possibly, but not green apples.
Something sweet rather than tart.
Yeah, sort of those red apples.
Pink Lady or what have you.
So whatever they're called. Backed up by, well, I want to say vanilla, but it's very, very light. I would expect that from American White Oak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the bourbon cask influence, that's often a
very
powerful
so.
and at the forefront, but it's not. It's surprisingly subtle.
And then, as you say, this fresh, piney kind of base for me. Yeah. Oh, it's very attractive. It doesn't have the depth of a long matured whiskey, but it's a very, very nice, fresh, pleasant whiskey.
Yeah.
And there's no immaturity at all.
Yeah.
Sweet predominantly, some acidity at the sides of the mouth, relatively short finish, spicy right across the palate in a kind of a white peppery sort of spiciness.
Yeah, it's very lively, but without being
aggressive,
the fiery youthfulness that you would usually expect from a 3-year-old whiskey.
I'm going to add a little bit of water to this.
It's something I've noticed, certainly, is that whiskey makers are getting better and better at making young spirit incredibly drinkable.
Yeah. Yeah, that's opened it up a little bit. It becomes more estery, by which I mean kind of nail varnish removal,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
What time of day would you drink it? Actually, it's a kind of general purpose, but it's probably more, aperitif or afternoon than late
yeah.
night.
Summertime whiskey,
Yeah.
not
It is. It's cheerful,
Yeah.
And tell us about what do you know about the building? Because it was an old wireworks, hence the name.
Yes. So the building itself was originally a wireworks, hence the design of the bottle that you were talking about. Obviously, the ridges representing strands of copper wire that would then be
I hadn't thought about
bound into a thicker cable of wire.
How I hadn't thought about that. That's
Yeah.
very interesting. Yeah.
Not just attractive, but a story to it as well.
Yeah. It's always good to have stories behind
Yeah.
whiskies. Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the romance of whiskey, isn't
It
it?
is, yes, very much so. No, very good, top marks.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic
Well
stuff.
done, Wireworks.